Today I am talking about a character that I have never really thought about. I've thought about them in connection to another character, but that's basically the extent of my thought process of this person, and pretty much everyone else in general, because there was nothing really much to say about this character until the sun and the star. Because today I'm talking about Will Solace and the fact that Will is now real. Okay, yeah, Will had always been real, but I mean real in the sense of like, we actually know who he is as a person now. And that is great because, yeah, most people never really thought about Will Solace as a person or as a character outside of his ship with Nico. Because Nico we knew and loved. Will was just kind of almost like an accessory. He was the Ken to Nico's Barbie. But now it's Barbie and just Ken, or Nico and just Will, because Will now has his own character outside of Nico. And I kind of like it. He may not be my favourite because, again, we've not had much of him, but I like where this is going, and I hope we do actually eventually get to see more of Will as an individual and just having the chance to be himself. But let's talk a little bit about Will and who he is. Will is Sunshine Boy. And yes, whilst that is still kind of the same thing as before in the fact that he is kind, caring, a quite literal ray of sunshine sometimes, because he can glow in the dark, it's nice to see that there are sometimes characters, like what I've talked about with Magnus Chase in the past, which I'll link in the description box or hopefully card somewhere. Will just being someone who is kind, loving, caring, and, the on-scene doctor, even if he is a teenager, it's the new Dougie Hauser. He has depth now. And not to say that just being kind and caring isn't depth, but there is more to him than just kindness. Because he can be quite selfish. And while it sounds weird to say that I like that he's selfish, I do. Because people are selfish. Not everyone is the full, kind, caring sort of thing. People have aspects about themselves which are not great. It's what makes people people. People suck sometimes, and that's just the way it is. And that's also the case with Will. Yeah, he's a doctor, he's Sunshine Boy, he's kind, he's caring, he's loving to all and to his boyfriend, but he also gets things wrong. In The Sun and the Star especially, we see that side to him. He is kind of hoping to change his boyfriend in some degree, even if he doesn't fully recognize it himself. He wanted Nico to be less underworld, less gloomy and emo all the time, because in his mind, that wasn't good and healthy. And yes, it wasn't always good and healthy. But that is also who Nico is now. He is someone who is, yeah, gloomy and dark thoughted. That's not a word, but it is now. But he is more than just that. Just because he has this gloomy side to him doesn't mean that that isn't good or that's something that needs to be changed. Emo people exist. And Nico is just emo. Yes, he had traumas to deal with that Will recognized, but Will seemed to also put on the fact onto Nico that his gloomy emo side was solely because of his trauma and not just him as a person. And it was that judgmental aspect of him that I found quite interesting, because it made me not dislike him, but made me conflicted about how I felt about Will, because, like I said in my Nico video, I was kind of the same. I wanted Nico to go back to basically being the fun-loving, dorky kid. But he's not that kid anymore. He's gone through a lot of things. While he still has his dorky, nerdy moments, he is emo boy. And emo boy is who we need to accept. Yes, he is happier now. But that doesn't stop him being emo. And both me and Will had to learn to recognize this and come to the understanding that this is who Nico is, and it's someone we have to care about and respect. Obviously, I don't fully love Nico, but that's a different situation, but Will does. Will Solace loves Nico. He was just judgmental in the sense that he is Sunshine Boy and he is Grumpy Emo Boy. Complete opposites that Will put a lot of expectations onto his boyfriend because of his own preconceived notions of what Nico's personality should and would be if it weren't for his traumas. And it was seeing Will go through this growth and apologizing and kind of seeing these darker aspects to Will in general that just made him a really interesting character to me. We saw a little bit of this throughout Trials of Apollo, but again, most of the time he was still Sunshine Boy in that series. It wasn't until The Sun and the Star that we saw this other side to him. A side that was selfish, judgmental, unkind at times, and not the full Sunshine Boy. I mean, they were in Tartarus. It's kind of hard to be Sunshine Boy when there is no sunshine for the boy. So it was seeing all these different sides of Will that helped me come to appreciate and understand him as a character, because now he was a fully fledged character. And I got to give props to Makashiro and Rick Riordan for that, because they made a side character who was only known for their ship an individual. And I kind of love that. But what about you guys? Do you feel differently about Will Solace now after reading The Sun and the Star? Or maybe even felt differently about him in Trials of Apollo? Whatever the case, let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on Will Solace. Are there any other characters that you think I should be covering because of how they've been written or how they've been presented that maybe you weren't a big fan of? Whatever the case, let me know. I want to hear characters I should be covering, because, you know, I have lots of thoughts about lots of things, but sometimes I need some ideas from my favorite subscribers. Speaking of subscribers though, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Check out my Patreon if you want early access to these videos. And yeah, my social media, my books. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you all next time.